In this episode, this is part 2 of Children, Values and Beliefs. In this one, I give you guys a map of understanding human psychology, a very simple, elegant map to be able to understand your partner, your children, and everyone else around you. This is an absolute doozy of an episode. Enjoy. Welcome to the R.Y.S.E Movement Podcast, a place where men just like you learn to raise your standards everywhere. So sit back, grab a pen and a pad, and let's get to work. Welcome to another episode of the R.Y.S.E Movement Podcast. I'm Dave Kerastesi, and in this episode, we're diving straight head into part 2 of Children, Values and Beliefs. And in this one, I'm going to be doing a lot of teaching. There's a lot of things that I need to get across to you guys if you haven't studied psychology or NLP or anything like that to be able to understand how we actually work internally. Some of the things I'm going to be teaching, I'm going to give you a map of your internal representation system, the way that we filter things through our unconscious or subconscious that we carry through life. We carry that with us regardless of what's going on. So first things that we need to dive into are going to be, what is a value? So I got it up on my screen here, and a value is the regard that something is held to desire, the importance, the worth, or usefulness of something. Your support is great value. Principles or standards of behavior, one's judgment of what is important in life. So that's value. So why is that so important to talk about? People live by their highest values unconsciously. You have a look around you right now, wherever you are, whether you're at work or at home with the kids or whatever's going on. The things that you value highest to you will be in your close proximity. What do I mean by that? The things that are highest value to you, if it's technology, if it's money, your kids, your sports, hobbies, interests, all these things will be in close proximity to you because these are your unconscious highest values. This is not good. It's not bad. It just is. It's something that happens automatically, autonomously, without you having to put time and effort and energy into it. It just happens. Your values, specifically your highest values, you have enormous untapped amounts of energy to be able to pursue these things at any time of day. It doesn't matter what time, doesn't matter how much caffeine, how stressed you are, you can do these high value priority tasks and behaviors and hobbies and all the rest of it without any worry in the world. Things that are low value, you will have to recruit enormous amounts of energy to be able to do. Hypothetically, let's say in your household, your missus has asked you to do the housework. She's asked you to do the floors and the dishes and the washing just to be able to help her out. And you have to have a couple of cups of coffee. You have to get off your ass. You have to do all these things. You do it begrudgingly. You do it because you almost have to, because you're loyal to your wife and you want to help her out, and you hate it when she nags and all these sorts of things. That means that is a low value priority item for you. That's okay. We all have these. Myself, I absolutely hate with a capital H. I hate doing the floors. The kids are so damn messy. They bring in so much shit. And by the time that you do the floors, the kids come in and destroy it all over again. They need doing again. I resent doing the floors. They are so low on my value priority. However, they're extremely important to my partner. They are extremely important to Rachel for whatever reason. They are a high value item to have cleanliness and orderliness inside of the house. Me, I can get away with a little bit more. I lived like a slob for a lot of my early 20s when I was single, when I was living with my roommates, and I kind of didn't really care about it. I have a very, very high disgust sensitivity, and so cleanliness is not a giant problem for me. It might sound a bit disgusting, however, I can live like that. When I met Rachel, completely different story. Her level and her value around cleanliness and orderliness was through the roof, and we were polar opposites on these things, and that was one of the things that we had to, talking about what we're spoken about in a couple of episodes now, we had to communicate and negotiate on consistently. In fact, I actually asked her a question today. I said, what is one thing that you have given up on bringing up to me that causes a lot of grief or a lot of frustration for you? And she said, why? She thought I was trying to trick her with something. I said, no, genuinely, what is something that you want to bring up with me, but because of the amount of times that you've brought it up and it has gone unactioned, what is that thing that you want to bring up to me? And she said, well, honestly, it's cleanliness. However, lately, you've been helping out a lot more around the house. You've been doing a lot more without being asked, and I really appreciate that. So just understanding my partner, understanding my fiance, I know what her high value is around cleanliness and orderliness and these things. So I know that I need to step up. I need to actually muster up and recruit some energy within to be able to meet her needs around her values. If you don't meet your partner's needs around their values, you're going to create disharmony and dysregulation inside the relationship, which is extremely important to talk about, to be able to negotiate about, especially when it comes to your kids. If you don't know what your kids' highest values are, you don't know your kids. The easiest thing for you to understand around their unconscious behaviors, their unconscious interests with their values is look what they're into. Are they into video games? Are they into sports? Are they into reading, music, art, dance? Like, there's so many things that they can be interested in that they just do automatically and have endless amounts of energy with, and that is their highest values. You can literally ask them and yourself, what are your highest values, and create a hierarchy of most important to least important in all areas of life. What we do with the R.Y.S.E Movement is to raise your standards everywhere. Value is a measurement of standard. It's something that is up to scratch. It's something that either meets the requirement or it doesn't. So I'm actually going to go through an exercise with you guys today, and I want you to make sure that every time you hear the words come out of my face, or you see my face on YouTube, I want you to grab a pen and a pad to be able to take notes. So that you can go and take action. This is actually something I'm going to do with you guys to teach you what are your most important values, and we're going to list them in a hierarchy of your life, which is really fucking cool to know. Then you can go and do this with your partner, you can do it with your kids, and figure out what each other's values are and see where you click and see where you're a miss. See what is high priority for your partner and for your kids, and that you actually need to put more time, effort, and energy into, and also for them to be able to reflect and see what dad's about. So the next part, what is a belief? So the definition in psychology, a belief is typically defined as an internal mental state. So we're going to go into a model that I'm going to show you, and I'm going to put up on YouTube so you can see the graphic as well. Or a disposition that is often associated with a particular response that could be in the form of a statement or action. So beliefs and values, that's what we're talking about today. So beliefs are anything that you, how do I want to word this? Anything that you have faith, pretty much I'll start that again. They are pretty much anything that you have blind faith in to believing wholeheartedly without any examination. A lot of the time, the beliefs that you hold now, even as an adult, are the things that you held as a belief because they were installed to you, like what we spoke about last episode, talking about the imprint age, the sponge age from 0 to 7, where everything is thrust upon you and you absorb that shit like it's dirty water. Any old belief pattern that around money, think a perfect example. Without thinking, tell me the first answer that comes to your mind. What is your belief around money? That's the first thing that comes to your mind. That's your unconscious belief system around money. So you might have said things like, if you're in Australia, you might have said things like, money doesn't grow on trees, money's hard to come by, you got to work hard for your money. These are the top 3 beliefs of the middle class. There's the reason why your financial literacy might not be up to scratch, might not be up to standards. You might not be having the results that you want to have. And it's because of these deep-seated unconscious belief systems. Another example, without thinking, the first thing that comes to your mind, what's your belief around health and fitness? What's your belief around disease? What is your belief around happiness? What is your belief around marriage? All of these things would have sparked an instant reaction from you where you can pull up a belief system from your unconscious that gives you an exact representation, and it might even create a picture or a movie inside of your head. These are the things that we're talking about today because like I said, a lot of the time, these are unconscious. These, unless you've done a lot of self-work and you know exactly what your values and beliefs are, this thing is going to be unconscious and it will rule your life. What we do when we go through and raise our standards everywhere, we're actually uprooting all of our old belief systems and having a check to see, is this up to scratch? Is this up to my standard? Because if not, we're going to change the value around it. We're going to change the belief system around it. And understanding that raise your standards everywhere means that everything can be increased. Everything can be elevated. You can create a new perspective, a new potential inside of yourself, which we always talk about is unlimited in nature. You can create new, always. There is no limit to your potential. There's no limit to your value, to your standards. Yes, you want to be content and comfortable where you are right now. However, there is always room to improve. That is what I do. All I aim for is success, love, and fulfillment across the board, and upgrading my standards as I go. I know what potential I have inside of myself. I know where I can go. I know what I can do. I know what I'm capable of. And I know what you guys are capable of too. Every single person out there has a different value system, has a different belief structure. Your ability to tap into that and to start restructuring, reprogramming your subconscious, reprogramming your values and belief systems, uprooting and redoing your standards and requirements, having a different mindset into the world, changing it from a fixed mindset into a growth mindset, which is something that we'll cover in the future. That is your ability to rewire your programming, to rewire your subconscious, to be able to change all of the things that are deep under the surface, to go looking at the things that you don't want to look at. That Carl Jung quote again, that which you seek the most is where you least want to look. All the things, all the problems in your life need to be solved internally. They are to be done in your unconscious. They are to be go through with a fine-tooth comb and be able to uproot everything that is no longer serving you. So, I'm going to put up a graphic here. If you're on Spotify or anything else, please jump over to YouTube for this section because it's really, really important that you have a look. I'll timestamp it down below so you can see what the representation system is. So to start off with, we have the external world. And in our mind, in our brain, we have the ability to perceive the five senses. So we've got visual, auditory, kinesthetic, so feeling, olfactory, and gustatory, that's smell and taste. When we have the interpretations and the representation of the five senses of information going in, that goes into our mind. Inside of our subconscious, we have things that distort, delete, and generalize. They aren't high definition chunks of information. They're very abstract, they're very generalized. And what happens is, when it gets filtered through these things, and it gets taken through our beliefs, our values, any decisions we've ever made, and our memories, that completely distorts, deletes, generalizes, high abstraction, low resolution images and representations of what that means to us. So we smell something. Smell is one of the most powerful things that you can get to be able to recall a memory. You want to remember what your grandmother's cooking tasted like? Go for a walk through the old neighborhood, or like Little Greek Town or Little Hungary or wherever you're from, and you will smell something that reminds you of mama. You'll smell, for me being Hungarian, you'll smell goulash, you'll smell palacinta. I'm thinking of my grandmother's cooking. I can see the visual representation in my mind. She's got that big wok pot on the stove on all four burners going, the giant wooden spoon ladling around. I can almost taste it. That internal representation, because I've spent so much time with my grandmother before she died when I was a child, I have so many great memories that I can recall, I can bring to mind just through talking about it. And I could swear to God, I could smell it, I could taste it, I could see my grandmother in my mind. Everyone has this experience. So what happens when we have this external stimulus come into us, we go through, we delete, distort, and generalize, and we go through the values, beliefs, decisions, and memories. Then that creates that picture, that movie that's running through our mind. We have a synesthesia, and a synesthesia is the state, that emotional state that changes our physiology. It changes our internal environment. It changes how we feel, how we're about to act, because all of this happens simultaneously. Imagine you're going for a walk out in the woods, and because of great horror movies and thrillers and stuff like that, we're a little bit paranoid at night, and we hear a twig snap. Instantly, we turn around, we're frozen. We try to see the best that we can, but we've only got moonlight above us, but there's this silhouette, or at least we think it's a silhouette. And we think, oh my God, what is it? Is it the boogeyman? Is it Sasquatch? Is it the Yeti? Like, what is this thing? In Australia, is it the Yowie? And we create this picture in our head. We over analyze what's going on. And in our mind, we're presenting, this is danger, this is danger, this is danger. And if you're out walking in the night, a lot of the time there's going to be nocturnal animals, especially in Australia. We've got, little rock wallabies and stuff like that like to go out and forage. And then you're sitting there going, oh my God, I'm terrified. There's this big bad monster. It's coming to eat me. It's coming to kill me. I'm terrified. And then all of a sudden this little rock wallaby starts bounding along. That's the thing that cracked the twig. That's the thing that scared the shit out of you. Because we've been colored through our memories. We've been colored through our decisions and our values and beliefs. And, if you're into the paranormal and stuff like that, like I am, I get a good kick out of it. It's good entertainment. That will color your internal representation. It will change your physiology inside. It'll change your emotional state. It'll put you into a state of fight or flight or freeze. And then all of a sudden you see it for what it is and you can have relief. Everyone goes through this. So, why is this so important? Why is this map of understanding so important? If you have not done any personal development, you have not done any introspection, meditation, work with a therapist, understanding or even have knowledge that we have a subconscious or unconscious, especially one that takes over so much of our results, this is pretty shocking. This is some big news. This is inside of you, it's inside of your wife or your partner, and it's inside of your kids, or at least it's developing inside of your children. One thing that I like to talk a lot about with my clients is limiting beliefs. What are the things that are holding you back from living your truest expression? What are the things that are inside of your mind, inside of your body, that are so deeply ingrained, so much so that these are fundamental presuppositions around your life? Because we talk a lot about raising your standards everywhere to be able to raise your results everywhere. However, if you've got belief systems inside of you, or superstitions for that matter, that are holding you back, that are limiting your expression, limiting your potential, all thanks to your dad, your grandfather, authority figures, your family tree from growing up in the Soviet Union and going through the gulags and stuff like that 100 years ago, that's inside of you. Last episode we spoke about you have 7 generations worth of DNA inside of you. The epigenetics is going to sequence in certain ways when certain external adaptations... Let me start that again. You have 7 generations worth of DNA inside of you and epigenetics turning on and off depending on times. What if there's war? What if there's famine? What if there's totalitarianism that takes over? All of our ancestors, not too far removed ancestors for that matter, went through World War I and II. They went through famine, they went through war, they went through cold, they went through heartache, they went through loss, losing fathers, losing brothers, getting attacked, being bombed. All these sorts of things are inside of our nervous systems right now. This is inside of our DNA. What if things get a little bit more hectic in the future and, God forbid, China invades Taiwan, Ukraine war kicks off a little bit, and all of a sudden we're into a hot war? The world's in a bit of a proxy war at the moment in 2023. However, what if it turns into a hot war? What's going to happen to your body then? You don't know. You've never gone and done the investigation to know what's in your family tree, to understand what's inside of your epigenetics, let alone what's inside of your values, beliefs, and decisions and memories. Superstitions as well. All of that's still inside of you. This is why it's so important to do the work, to be able to be introspective and to see and find out what is inside of you, what you're holding yourself back with, and get rid of that shit. And also to be able to do it for your kids. To be able to hold such space that you go, okay, this is what I used to think, here's what I would think now. This is the new belief structure that I'm holding, where this no longer serves us, we're removing this. We need to keep a high standard around this. We need to be repetitive in our action taking around this new standard, around this new belief system, because if we don't, the old paradigm's going to come back. And that old paradigm, it's got some deep claws inside of us, and it's hanging on for dear God. It doesn't want the new one to come in because this has been so comfortable. It's been sitting there for so long. Think of it like a mind virus, just perpetuating itself deeper and deeper, going deeper into your subconscious, deeper into your programming, deeper into your behaviors, showing up unexpectedly. You might come out and yell at your child like you're your father, and it comes out like it's autonomous. There's this thing living inside of you. It's animating you. It's almost possessing you. It's grabbing you by the back of your skull from the amygdala and it's going, demon, possess, rah. Like that's the energy that comes out. Obviously, I'm anthropomorphizing it a little bit and I'm creating a story out of it because that's the way that I like to be able to imagine it. If there's metaphor and story to it, it's a lot easier to understand. So we all have these things inside of us, and that's why it's so important to do the work. If you don't go if you don't go through your subconscious and start figuring out what's going on inside of yourself, one, limiting beliefs, superstitions, these are the things that are going to be holding you back, and you won't be able to tap into that unlimited potential. And two, for your children. That's what this episode is all about. What if you've actually given your children a superstition, or you've given them a limiting belief that is going to end them up in violence? That's going to put them with a partner that they consider themselves less than, or they try to find a partner that they have to fix. What if your son ends up with a vindictive female that ends up abusing him, like what I went through in my previous episodes? What if you end up having a daughter that gets bashed by a partner, that gets raped, that gets abused? That's all these things. What are you going to do then? It's a gut-wrenching thing to think about. However, it's absolutely necessary. As a father, you are responsible for the animating spirit inside of your children. You are the one who guides the soul. You're the one who gives and provides all of the things to be able to go, these are your values, these are your belief systems, these are your presuppositions about the world, these are the things that I want you to instinctually, unconsciously think about yourself. You are high worthy, you are high standards, you are beautiful, you are smart, you are strong. Essentially, you're teaching a belief system by giving them affirmations coming from the father. There's an old saying, the mother nurtures the body, the father nurtures the spirit. The mother's responsible for providing that space, that beautiful space inside of her womb, to be able to give her all the nutrients and all, just everything. And then the baby is born into the world. The mother continues raising the baby, looking after the child, nurturing it, feeding it, cleaning it, all the rest of the thing. The father goes out, provides. He provides for the living in, a very stereotypical, generalized sense. He provides financially. He provides a roof over the head. He provides the security. He also provides the belief system, the value structure, and everything else that is a foundational standard inside of the household. Your values and beliefs are imperative that you know exactly why you value what you value and why you believe what you believe. And if there's anything that is inside of your belief system or a superstition that you do that's holding you back, figure it out. Uproot it. Understand it so deeply that you know when it tries to show itself. When it manifests itself as an unconscious behavior. When all of a sudden, external stimulus goes in through the five senses, it goes through the filters, deletes, distorts, and generalizes, and you have all this energy inside of you that wants to explode out into the outside world through behavior. What if there's a moment where you can go, oh, I'm noticing something. I've been triggered by something. There's awareness now. I'm now calm. I can see, I can experience, and I can choose. I can respond instead of react. Instead of external stimulus that goes through my internal representation system, changes my state, changes my physiology, and then I react with a behavior. I react to danger, I punch, I fight, I get angry. What if I'm aware? I can respond. I choose this. I choose higher thinking. I choose the ability to be able to move forward, to be able to protect, and to be able to be firm in my ability to respond. That's what responsibility ultimately is. It's my ability to respond to the stimulus. I don't need to be fight, flight, or freeze. I need to be able to be calm, cool, collected, observant. As Andrew Tate says, perspicacious. I think that's how he says it. The ability to understand the outside world has no effect on me if you do the work. The outside world and all its stimuluses and stress responses, they don't color me. I color me. I choose what happens. I'm the one in control of the external stimulus. I know that I have inside of myself the ability to pause in the face of danger, to be able to consider, to be able to have higher thinking and respond instead of react. The amount of time and stress inoculation that I've done to be able to put myself in terrible situations deliberately, voluntarily. I'd strongly suggest not doing this involuntarily because you'll end up with PTSD from it. It gives you the ability to analyze, to think clearly, to be able to analyze the situation, make a measured approach, and respond accordingly. That is true power. That is true responsibility. That is true presence. It's true presence. It allows you such an amazing perspective to be able to sit back and become. So, here's an interesting one that I didn't cover before, talking about beliefs and values and also superstitions and limiting beliefs. Now, imagine you're getting into a new relationship. You've got some baggage. Everyone's got baggage. I have some baggage that I'm still working through. My children will develop baggage. Everyone has it. This is how our unconscious protects us. The reason for baggage, the reason for insecurities is it's a warning signal. Think of it like a giant red flashing light saying, hey, warning signal, we need to be aware of this. This is a giant red flag. Last time we experienced this, it really fucking hurt. So don't go through that again. And that's where a lot of insecurities come from. That's where a lot of, anxiety comes from. And the best thing that you can do is, one, look at it deeply. Go through and voluntarily step into the darkness. That which you seek is where you least wish to look. And then have a look. Why am I so anxious about this? When my partner has her phone and she flips it up on the table and it's screened down, why does that make me anxious? Why does that give me the heebie-jeebies? Why is that an ick for me? When my partner won't tell me who they're talking to, when my partner has girls' night and she doesn't tell me about what happened in the night because she's worried that I might be too jealous or that I'm insecure. She hides things from me. She won't bring things to my attention because of the way that I'll react, the way that I get angry. All these baggages are things that you have to look at so that you can understand where the root cause is and then communicate it to your partner. Communicate it to your children. Communicate it so that you don't have to react, you can respond. So when you have certain things like baggage and traditions and superstitions and stuff like that, you're undoing all of the damaging things. Like a perfect example of a superstition that has no sense in Australia. Maybe the southern states. My old man grew up in Hungary, communist Hungary, in the 50s, 60s and 70s before he came to Australia. In that time, it was freezing cold. Minus 40 degree winters, blizzards, all the rest of it. He had a superstition that he would throw upon us that anytime that you fucking sneezed as a child, you had to get a jumper on. That was the first thing, instantly. You sneeze, you would hear from across the fucking house, get a jumper on. And so that is a superstition that has no purpose especially in my climate here on the Gold Coast. It's beautiful here. It's the start of winter. The mornings are 9 degrees Celsius and the days are 22 degrees Celsius. It's perfect. However, I sneezed this morning. Inside of my head, get a jumper on. First thing that came to my mind. I laughed at it. I can respond to it. I look at it and go, I don't need a jumper. It's beautiful weather. I'm not sick. It's not hungry. It's not minus 40 degrees in the middle of winter in Hungary. I'm not going to die if I sneeze, if I get pneumonia. I have modern hospitals. I have in Australia a beautiful socialized healthcare system that I can get the treatment and the medical care that I can for free. Yeah, we pay it in taxes, but that's a different story. What about other superstitions around throwing salt over the shoulder? What the fuck does that have to do with modern life? Have a look at these limiting beliefs inside of yourself that are coloring, filtering, deleting, distorting, and generalizing so that you have a weird internal representation that is not serving you. Remove it so that you don't pass it on to your kids, so that you don't infect them with a mind virus that sits dormant until alcohol, drugs, violence, abuse, promiscuity, all these sorts of things. Like I said earlier, the mother nurtures the body, the father nurtures the spirit. It's up to you as a dad to make sure that you are the one who is guiding and fulfilling their psychological development and emotional development to be able to respond, to not have the same hang-ups that you have, to not have the same insecurities and anxieties that you have, to not have the same addictions that you have. It is up to you to be able to nurture that. It's so damn important. That map of understanding that I put up ages ago now, understand that, study it. Because every single person that you see in the outside world, they all have that internally. 99% of them are unconscious to it. Now, you guys that are watching this, you're now conscious to it. You can be aware that, like I said in the last episode, people are majority trauma responses. They have deleted, distorted, and generalized a map internally, gone through all their filters, and then their unconscious reactionary behavior carries them in a way that they're carried. perfect example, and I don't mean to pick on the left, but look at all their behaviors. What internal representation do they have inside of themselves to be able to go act unconsciously and behave the way that they behave? Look at in the States. God, I hope the States get their shit together soon. The Antifa bullshit, on the opposite side, the Proud Boys bullshit, there's just so much trauma. There's just so much trauma, and it's people reacting to life. It's people acting unconsciously. It's really sad to see. So when it comes to raising kids, nurture their spirit. Give them all of the resources that you can. Understand yourself. Be as self-aware, authentic, vulnerable, and transparent as possible, so that you can tell them when they bring you questions and go, Dad, why did you yell at me for this? And instead of reacting the way that your father would have, you can go, well, I'm really sorry. What I was actually experiencing was I was quite overwhelmed and I was feeling a lot of anxiety. I wasn't breathing properly. I noticed that I was really tense inside of my body, and I was scared, was really what was happening. I'm really sorry that I hurt you. Please forgive me. I'm working on it. I'm trying to do better. And your beautiful kids, being the beautiful kids that they are, especially if they're under 7 years old, they'll go, yeah, Dad, you're so silly. Don't worry about it. I love you. And they'll give you a big hug and kiss. They've forgotten about it because it hasn't been deep-seated inside of them. However, if you've got, preteens, teenagers, or even adult kids, good luck. The damage was done. The sponge has been filled. And you need to do your best to be as authentic, transparent, and vulnerable as possible. Take that armor off, bare-chested, and say, hey guys, look, I'm trying. I'm really, really trying. I had a troubled childhood, and take responsibility for what you experienced. Don't take responsibility for being victimized. Take responsibility for being a survivor, for being so strong to be able to go through and have all the resources to be able to be where you are now and face up to the problems. Face up to the fact that you might not have been the greatest dad. Face up to the fact that you might have gotten angry, that you might have even hit them, that you might have smacked them, that you might have degraded them, that you might have even, caused a lot of damage for them psychologically. Sorry guys, the kids just got home if you heard that. So, it's your responsibility. And your responsibility is your ability to respond. Don't react. You're better than that. So that's enough for this one. Thank you very much. Last one was a bit heavy. This one was pretty good. Next one's going to be even better. Thanks for being here, man. Much love, and until I see you in the next one, take care. Thank you for being with me today. Thank you for subscribing and leaving a review. It really helps us out. Until next time, take care and much love.